Let's talk about that battle that happens inside your head. You ever have one of those days where you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, but for some reason you just can't do it? Well, today we're going to get into the science of that struggle, and more importantly, how you can actually start winning.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? You make a plan, you know it's good for you, but instead, you procrastinate, you get distracted, and poof, the day is gone. It feels like self-sabotage, but it turns out there's a really solid scientific reason for this constant fight with yourself.
All right, to really get this, we need a good metaphor. So I want you to picture your brain not as one thing, but as two distinct parts. Imagine a person, a rider, sitting on top of a giant, powerful elephant.
Now here's where it gets interesting. The rider, that's your logical brain, your prefrontal cortex, it makes the plans, sets the goals, knows you should go to the gym. But the elephant, that's your ancient emotional brain. It's all impulse and instinct. And here's the kicker. The elephant is way, way more powerful. It holds the veto power. So if the elephant wants to scroll social media, guess what? The rider's well-thought-out plans don't stand a chance.
So why is our elephant so out of control in the modern world? Why is it so easily distracted? Well, the culprit is a little chemical you've probably heard of, dopamine. See, back in the day, dopamine was an amazing survival tool. Think of it as your brain's reward currency. When our ancestors did something that helped them survive, like finding a bush full of berries, their brain would release dopamine. It felt good, and it taught them, hey, do that again. But here is the massive problem we face today, and this chart says it all. In the ancient world, getting that dopamine hit took a ton of effort. You had to hunt, you had to forage. Now, we can get an even bigger dopamine reward for practically zero effort. Our ancient wiring is being completely hijacked by modern convenience. Seriously, think about it. For our ancestors, getting the calories that are in one cheeseburger could have taken days of risky hunting. Our brain has not evolved to understand that we can just tap a button on an app and have one show up at our door. It just registers this massive, off-the-charts survival reward, and it screams, give me more. That's what makes the elephant so hard to steer. So, are we just doomed? How do we fight back? How do we get this giant elephant to actually listen to the rider? Well, the answer isn't about finding a clever shortcut. It's actually about embracing the hard way. This is the big mindset shift you have to make. You know how you build muscle by lifting heavy weights at the gym? It's the exact same idea for your brain. You have to start training it by intentionally doing things that are difficult. You have to start seeing the effort itself as the win, not just the outcome.
Of course, you don't walk into the gym for the first time and try to bench press 300 pounds, right? You start small. It's the same thing here. Find a challenge that's tough for you, but that you know you can actually do. Maybe it's just waking up 15 minutes earlier without hitting snooze. Do that. Get that win. Then you level up to the next challenge. Okay, so let's look at what's actually happening in your brain when you do this. There's a specific part called the cingulate cortex that basically acts as the referee between the rider and the elephant. It's the part that steps in and resolves the conflict when you have to make one of those tough choices. And here is the absolute best news. Your cingulate cortex is like a muscle. Every single time you choose the harder path, to work out instead of watch TV, to eat the salad instead of the pizza, you are literally making that part of your brain stronger. It's a compounding effect. That's why the choices are always the hardest at the very beginning. It genuinely gets easier over time as you build up that mental strength. Okay, that's the science. It's cool to know, but how do we actually do it? How do we train that cingulate cortex muscle? Let's get into a couple of super practical tools you can start using literally today. inner peace. I love this quote because it just nails the feeling. It's that moment when you're not wishing you were on vacation, you're not thinking about what's for dinner, you're not wondering what's happening on your phone. You are completely and totally present, engaged, and content. That is the real prize for taming your brain.
So in the end, you have to realize the rider and the elephant aren't enemies. They're a team. One has the direction and the other has the power. The only question left is, now that you know how they work together, where are you going to choose to guide them?